The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast.
Plus,
joining me today is a man who keeps pulling up the dead man's hand. Welcome, Jacob.
why thank you, and let me introduce our co-host, a man who is just having trouble directing his horses where to go. Our ponies, welcome to
Yeah, let's go with that. Good night.
Hey, I can throw jokes out there too.
Inside baseball.
Inside baseball.
That might be coming outside later.
Yeah.
Because I'm about tired of it. So anyway, tonight this is a Cellcast Plus episode where we are going to be reviewing The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, a classic John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart film, or as he's credited in this film, James Stewart.
Yeah, James Stewart.
Also, I still think of him as Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, it was 1962, directed by the now famous John Ford.
Yeah, directed he actually is the one who really started John Wayne's career off, because he directed many of his first films.
He did.
Yeah. We'll be getting started there. And then, of course, later tonight, we got some more Batman to go over after the intermission. But for now, why don't we jump into our spoiler-free thoughts on The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
I think this is my fifth time watching this film.
Fifth time watching it?
Yes. I think I caught it on TV twice before. And then a third time, I actually got to see it in a theater in Mineola. And it was actually being shown on film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it was not digital or DVD, but if I'm remembering correctly, that was a good over 10 years ago. And then I think I caught it on like TV like a couple years ago. I don't quite remember. But yeah, this is the first time I watched the DVD. And this is a little special to me because this DVD comes from my grandpa's John Wayne library that I inherited after he passed away. So I did watch it from that. So this is a little bit special to me.
Fair.
But yeah, I've watched this a couple times. Like I said, it's a good film. I knew Who Shot Liberty Valance going into this, but I'm still impressed how they managed to take you all the way. And I think this is the first time I've actually watched it outside of the theatrical version all the way through.
Gotcha.
So this is only the second time without interruptions.
Gotcha.
But it's a good film. It's a very classic Western. Even if you don't like Westerns, I suggest checking this out because it is a good tragic story about what happens when you do the right thing.
That is true.
No matter how much it hurts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, go watch it. I'll tell you that right now. Just if you want to know whether you want to watch it or not, turn us off, go watch the film, come back.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, so my dad, I love my dad to death. The man loves Westerns. Loves Westerns, action movies, a whole enchilada. So I remember watching this as a kid. There again, as a kid, I wasn't the biggest fan of black and white films. But so I remember watching it, and I don't remember a lot of it. I remember some of here and there, but I do remember very distinctly the climax of the film and why it'd be like the explanation of how and why. But that's all I remembered. That's all I remember because I think I watched this when I was very, very little.
Right.
But so I don't think I revisited it until this time. So it was my second time watching it. And this is a phenomenal film by a excellent director who apparently at the time wasn't a very sought after director in the 1960s. Because John Ford...
this was past John Ford's prime.
Yeah, past his prime, but this is probably one of his most iconic films he ever did. With bringing Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne together. and I think that they would work together another time in The Searchers.
It was the Shootist.
Shootist, that's right. But this is such an iconic and classic film. Like Drew said, be like, even if you're not a Western fan, be like, this is just a good storytelling, good directorial acting. Everything is just phenomenal in this film. And would I highly recommend it? Yes, indubitably. The version I always forget which way to turn.
Yeah.
This version I got, this was in a box of movies that a friend of mine. She just messaged me on Messenger. It's like, hey, I know you love movies. Be like, would you like this box of films? And I got a few pictures of it. And I noticed there was a few John Wayne films. And there again, I grew up with John Wayne. I love John Wayne.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through it, and I was like, wait a minute, who shot Liberty Valance? I had no idea what the film was about. And then going back and watching it, I'm like, wait, I watched this before when I was a kid. So Miss Julie, if you're listening to this at some point, thank you again for that amazing gift of movies. So that was also where I got the Clone Wars all the way through season 5 or season 6, one of those, and the entire Batman the Animated Series on DVD.
Right.
That's really, really cool gift.
That was still a good haul for you that you got out of that.
Yeah, you're not kidding. You are not kidding.
Alrighty then. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-filled section on our review of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Pilgrim.
Listener discretion is advised. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, as we said, was directed by John Ford, who also directed Stagecoach, another classic John Wayne film. It was also written by James Warner Bela and Willis Goldbeck, and is based on the short story by Dorothy M. Johnson. Getting into the cast, we've got James Stewart as Ransom Stoddard, and he played George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. You got John Wayne playing Tom Donovan, and he played Rooster Cogburn in the original version of... My brain just fried, and for some reason I didn't write it down.
True Grit.
True Grit, thank you.
And many other classical characters.
Let me back up and do that again. John Wayne, who played Tom Donovan in this movie, and he was Rooster Cogburn in the original True Grit and the sequel film Rooster Cogburn. He also played Lee Marvin played Liberty Valance, and he was Major John Reisman in The Dirty Dozen. Vera Miles, playing Haley Stoddard, also played Leela Crane in Psycho. Edmund O'Brien played Dutton Peabody, and he was Oscar Muldoon in The Barefoot Contessa. Andy Devine played Link Appleyard, and in Disney's Robin Hood, he was Friar Tuck.
Oh, that makes sense. Because that
You can
voice,
hear it.
You can hear it.
Like the minute he started
it is
talking,
Friar
I went,
Tuck.
"That's Friar Tuck."
Oh, gosh, Sheriff.
Lastly, we got Woody Strode as Pompey, and he played Jake in The Professionals. Kingdom Hearts connections.
None.
You guessed it correctly, right on the dot. It is a big old goose egg. What we got in info and stuff.
So I want to throw something at you. Ever since be like your grandfather was a huge John Wayne fan, so I assume be like you have some connection with John Wayne, right?
I know a lot. I know some John Wayne, yes.
Okay, so we're both kind of in that. Be like as a
I
fan
have
of
not
his.
watched all of the collection, and I need to. I need to watch some more of it when I get time.
So having the filmography you've watched of John Wayne stuff, what is your your favorite John Wayne film?
Oh, there's a question. Of course, I like True Grit. It's a good classic.
Yeah, it's a classic.
But if we're going to talk about the one I enjoy the most, it's probably McClintock.
Oh, yeah. McClintock,
Especially when he I can't remember the exact moment. He says, "Well, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm not going to. The heck I ain't." Boom.
Oh yeah. Oh, agreed. I do love me some McClintock. McClintock is just an absolutely hysterical film. I'm under the impression that was directed by John Ford. I could be wrong and be like, is all out.
I will look while we talk.
So my favorite would probably be Chisholm. Chisholm or War Wagon. Mm-hmm. Be like two phenomenal films. I love these films to death because Chisholm takes more of an historical, like as a historical count, because you do have Jesse James as a character, and you have that mythology of that character wrapped up in this John Chisholm character, and it's like the ranch wars of that time period. And I'm like, oh, definitely is an historical nut. And so it's like, yeah, I enjoy that. You have that, War Wagon, which is like a phenomenal. It's a much older film, but it's really, really good. You have Hellfighters. I've always loved Hellfighters.
Also, I like the movie Big Jake.
Big Jake's another good one. Big Jake is another good one.
That's a very good one. Mm-hmm. To answer your earlier question, McClintock was directed by Andrew V. McLaughlin.
Oh, okay.
Or McLaughlin. I may be mispronouncing his last name.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's based on Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, okay. Yeah, one of the movies that I remember watching at one point when I was a kid. It was The Greatest Story Ever Told, and John Wayne's in it. Mm-hmm. Like I think he plays like a soldier or something like that.
I can see
horse.
that.
Yeah, he's on a horse. And it's just like, wow, okay, that's cool. You got John Wayne in this film. Okay, that's great. But it's like, yeah, there's a ton of them that are, I think it's Rio Bravo or El Dorado. Yeah, one of those. Yeah, it's El Dorado. And yeah, oh my gosh. Yes, amazing films. Like, there again, if you've never watched a John Wayne film, go watch
John Wayne films.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest suggestion as a film person I can give.
Yeah.
Go watch John Wayne films. Even if the film is bad, you're still going to have a good time.
Yeah. And I know some people might say, well, John Wayne said this back in the 60s. Or he said this. Whoop-de-doo. He said in the 60s. Be like,
A, different time. B, he may not have been wrong, depending on what he said.
Well, be like, he was, it was a very racial thing to say.
Fair. But
be
still.
like, put in context, be like, okay, he was wrong in what he said, but he did admit he was wrong later. So give the guy some credit.
Well,
either or.
No matter what people say, some people will never forgive, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But let's move on. Because this is not a political show.
Agreed. Said I would bring that up. Because I know some people would. Either or.
Info and stuff,
yes. Let me get from all these John Wayne films. IMDb has an 8.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is a 95. And its audience score is 92.
Okay.
It's available to watch for free on Pluto and Prime Video for $3.79.
My mom in the chat says Hatari is his best movie.
Hatari. I remember that's the Safari movie, right?
It's the Safari one.
Yeah, I remember watching that one. That was weird. That was a weird one, but good choice. All right, so
and Artsy Steph said The Quiet Man.
The Quiet Man. Be like, I probably watched that one when I was younger, but I don't remember it.
Fair.
All right, so production was John Ford Productions, distributed by, granted, this is 1962. This was Universal Pictures.
This was Universal Pictures?
Yeah, it's a Universal Pictures.
Because everything I saw said Paramount.
Oh, Paramount. I apologize. It was Paramount. I apologize. It's Paramount.
Hey, it's not just the DVD. I mean, the opening logo is Paramount.
Yeah, it's Paramount. I apologize. So I will get to that in a minute. Be like, for some reason, I was thinking Universal because I was watching I think it's like a 10-part documentary.
Oh, yeah,
on this version. And there's an interesting little tidbit of information when it comes to the release of the Blu-ray. And I'll get that.
I wouldn't be surprised if the libraries have gotten mixed around.
Yes. All right. So, Paramount Pictures, apologize. Let's see. It had a runtime of 129 minutes. Its release date was August 22nd, 1962. Box office. It had a production cost of $3.2 million and had a domestic gross of $8 million. It was let's see. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance was released on April 1962 and was both a financial and critical success. Not really when it was first released. Let's be real. It didn't do well on its first initial go around. But as it continued, because there again in the 60s, you didn't have television, you didn't have reruns, and the DVD or anything didn't come out until the 80s. So this hit theaters every couple of years, and over time, it became a classic. Let's see. See if I can say this right. According to Kid McGrath Weekly, the film made the top 15 highest grossing film of 1962. So apparently it did pretty well. There again, this is 1962. This is not the 21st century where movies are making hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
$8 million, that's a pretty good haul for 1962. All right, so home release. Starting in the 1980s, the film was released on VHS and Betamax. Then, let's see, in 1982, it was released on CED.
Capacitance disc.
Capacitance electric disc.
That was a format that lasted not very long.
Yeah. This is an analog video disc playback system developed by RCA. It was then released on Laserdisc in 1983. The film will continue to be reprinted on VHS through the rest of the 1980s, spanning into the 90s, and crossing over into the 21st century, with no format change until October 13th, 2015, when Warner Home Video acquired the distribution rights to finally release it on Blu-ray, and then and converting back to Paramount a decade later in 2023 for its 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray on on May 17th of that year. And in quotation, be like, yes, I actually wrote that. Because
okay.
I could not find any actually thing that said it. So I found a website that just kind of cataloged all of its releases, and was like, you know what? I'll just do it that way.
Works for me.
Yeah, so I can actually write. All right, so that is all I have on info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. Near the end of the 20th century, U.S. Senator Ransom Rance Stoddard and his wife Haley arrive in Shinbone, a frontier town in an unnamed western state, to attend the funeral of Tom Donovan. When asked by the local newspaper reporter why a senator would attend the funeral of a poor rancher, Stoddard answers with a story that flashes back 25 years. Entering the then unincorporated territory as a young lawyer, Rance is beaten and robbed by infamous outlaw Liberty Valance and his gang. Tom Donovan and his handyman Pompey find Rance and take him to Shinbone, where Tom's girlfriend Haley treats his wounds. Rance learns Valance frequently terrorizes Shinbone and the surrounding country, since the local marshal Link Appleyard is too cowardly to stop him. Tom says Valance only understands force, but Rance is determined to bring Valance to justice through the law. While establishing his practice, Rance busts tables at Peter Erickson's steakhouse, where Haley works, and befriends Dutton Peabody, the editor of the Shinbone Star newspaper. After learning Haley is illiterate, Rance opens a school for children and adults in the back of the newspaper's office. He also begins practicing with Peabody's old gun after Valance bullies him in the restaurant. Haley tells Tom of Rance's gun practice. Tom takes Rance to his ranch for a shooting lesson, shows off renovations that are intended for his planned marriage to Haley, and makes those intentions clear to Rance. During the lesson, he tricks Rance by shooting a paint can above his head and staining his clothes. Telling Rance he can expect the same kind of trickery from Valance, Rance angrily punches Tom and leaves. Shinbone's men meet to elect 2 delegates to the upcoming statehood convention at the territorial capital. Tom refuses Rance's nomination. Ultimately, Rance and Peabody are elected. Valance, hired by the cattle barons who oppose statehood, fails to intimidate the voters into selecting him. Valance challenges Rance to a gunfight. Tom offers to assist Rance in leaving town, but Rance stubbornly declines. That evening, Valance and his gang vandalize the newspaper office and severely injure Peabody for reporting Valance's murder of a local farmer. Rance arms himself and goes after Valance, even drunk. Valance easily wounds and disarms Rance, then prepares to kill him. Rance retrieves his gun and shoots, and Valance falls dead. Rance returns to Erickson's where Haley treats his wounded arm. Tom enters and sees Haley's affection for Rance as she attends his wounds. He becomes drunk and forces Appleyard to run Valance's men out of town. Seeing his unfinished home renovations intended for his marriage to Haley, Tom sets fire to his house and intends to die in the flames. Pompey rescues him and the livestock. At the territorial convention, Rance is nominated for delegate to Congress, but withdraws after a representative of the cattle barons accuses him of building a career for murdering a man. Tom arrives and in a nested flashback explains to Rance that it was he who killed Valance. Knowing that Rance could not beat Valance, Tom shot him with Pompey's rifle at the same time Rance fired. Tom encourages Rance to accept the nomination for Haley's sake before quietly walking out of the convention. In the present, Rance's political achievements, state governor, senator, and ambassador to the United Kingdom, and likely vice presidential nominee in the upcoming election fill the intervening years. The newspaper editor decides publishing the story would ruin Rance's legacy, burns the reporter's notes, and leaves Rance to conduct Tom's funeral. When Rance asks why, the editor says, "When the legend becomes fact, print the legend." On the return trip to Washington, D.C., Rance contemplates retiring to Shinbone, which pleases Haley. She admits placing a cactus rose on Tom's coffin, a plant Tom knew Haley liked. As Rance thanks the train conductor for the railroad's courtesies, the conductor answers, "Nothing's too good for the man who shot Liberty Valance." Getting into the trivia for this one, John Wayne had actually suggested Lee Marvin for the role of Valance after working with him in The Comancheros from 1961. Several reasons have been put forward for the film being in black and white. John Ford once claimed to add to the tension, but others involved with the production said Paramount was cutting costs, which was why the film was shot on sound stages at the studio. Without the budget constraints, Ford would have been in Monument Valley using Technicolor stock. It had also been suggested that since both John Wayne and James Stewart were playing characters 30 years younger than their actual age, Wayne was 54 when the movie was filmed in the autumn of 1961 and Stewart was 53, the movie needed to be in black and white because they would never have gotten away with it in color. The age difference was particularly noticeable in Stewart's case since he was playing a young lawyer who had only just graduated from law school and had moved west without even practicing law back east. Cinematographer William H. Clothier said, "There was one reason and one reason only. Paramount was cutting costs. Otherwise, we would have been in Monument Valley or Bracketville, and we would have had color stock. Ford had to accept those terms or not make the film."
So I do want to point out two things. Be like, good read. Do not get me wrong. I think there's a few things wrong with that. Like whoever wrote it, I think there's a few things wrong with it. So one, like when, when.
I mean, a lot of it was speculation. So.
Oh yeah, of course. But it's more when the reporter's asking. Give me a second. Rance in the very beginning of the film, be like, "Oh, why did you come to visit this guy?"
Okay, I thought we were talking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. Hang on.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about the trivia. Did not realize we were jumping all the way back to the summary.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Start with the summary.
Sorry, you cut in like three things into the trivia. That threw me off.
Yeah, sorry. But like the summary is a little bit off because when
the summary is not usually perfect.
No, it's not. But I want to point out a few things where the summary. Did you write the summary?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you didn't write the summary.
No, I got it off Wikipedia. Like I almost always do.
Yeah, because I'm reading that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. Because when Rance describes, be like when the reporter, it's like, oh, be like, who is this real John? This guy, because he calls him John. He doesn't call him by Tom or Donovan. He doesn't call him by that. So it's like he's hiding his identity.
I heard him call him Tom.
I thought he was called John.
No.
I mean, okay, I could have been wrong. I
heard him call him Tom.
Okay, well, never mind.
That's what it sounded like. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Anyways, be like, I might be wrong. But in the second, because they say that, hold on. Haley, when they say like, oh, it's Tom's girlfriend. I'm like, are they really boyfriend and girlfriend, or is it more he's
Well, admittedly, she we never see if we can see she's in love. She still has some love for him later on.
Yeah,
but it's not shown in the flashback or in the crux of the film itself what her feelings are. But you can kind of tell she's sweet on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like watching for the second time. I'm like, wait a minute. Be like, is Donovan just thinking that it's like, oh, ever since she's very sweet on him. That's like, oh, I'm gonna marry her and blah blah blah. He's already built this and this and this. Be like, not even thinking. It's like, well, maybe she has other plans. But be like, there again, like when a fancy lawyer shows up and like he's this and this and this and this and like kind of sweeps her off her feet, and I think be like when I heard that and I was like, wait a minute, am I right or are they right? I don't know, but either or.
May I make a request for next time?
What?
Cut in on a question on the summary before I get into trivia.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry, you threw me off.
I throw myself off half the time, so either or. I apologize.
I don't even know if you heard my trivia.
I heard some of your trivia, yes.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Backing up. Okay. Back to the trivia.
Yes.
Woody Strode frequently performed his own stunts, partly because he was such a good athlete, partly because it was hard to find a suitable black stunt double. When Donovan sets fire to the house, Strode had to race in and drag him out of the building. John Wayne was using a double, but 47-year-old Strode wasn't. John Ford told his star, Duke, Woody is an old man, and he's got to carry you, and he doesn't need a double. Wayne decided to do the scene without one.
That it's just like, yeah, it's like, yeah. I kind of agree with that one.
Tom Donovan refers to Valance as the toughest man south of the picket wire, then adds, next to me. The picket wire is slang for the Purgatory River, which flows into the Arkansas. This line is appropriate as well, pertaining to Donovan being revealed as the man who shot Liberty Valance. But yeah, it is setting this primarily in Colorado.
Yeah,
is where this is taking place. But they never specifically say where it is.
Oh, yeah.
And as I said, Shinboat is a fictional town most likely located in southern Colorado, since it's stated the cattlemen reside north of the picket wire, and Tom Donovan, as we said, was the toughest man south of it.
Yeah.
And Liberty Valance, as I alluded to in the introduction, Liberty Valance plays the dead man's hand, aces and eights, before going out to duel Ransom Stoddard.
I didn't realize that.
That is a John Ford touch.
I did not realize that.
That's something he does apparently regularly.
Oh, okay.
So, what's your first like for this film?
My first like of this film, good night. There's so much of this movie that is so good, but we have to break it down into three likes. It's hard. Yeah. So I wanted to go with character first because there's so many great characters. Be like you have John Wayne's character who is Donovan.
Yeah, Tom Donovan.
Tom Donovan. I love his character. Be like it's be like if you ever watched a John Wayne film, that's John Wayne's character to a T. And then you get Jimmy Stewart's character, which be like Jimmy Stewart kind of plays Jimmy Stewart a little bit, but I love the dynamic because you think it's like, okay, this is definitely a John Wayne film. It's not actually, because you have this interesting the dynamic between you have Stewart and Wayne, because if you look at the film from perspectively, it's actually a Jimmy Stewart film, because it's more John Wayne's kind of there.
He's a secondary protagonist.
He's a secondary protagonist, but he's more pushing Stewart's character along to see where he goes with it, because he knows that Stewart's character isn't the gun toter. He's a more man of logic and a man of reason, and he's just kind of nudging him along. I love that perspective of the characters, because most of the time it's John Wayne. John Wayne's the main character. Like even in like the documentary, they were saying like, oh, he's the main character, but is he? He's not really. He's not really the main character. Jimmy Stewart is, and he is a kind of a catalyst to what happens. because it's more because Liberty Valance, the actor who plays Liberty Valance, was a phenomenal actor. Lee Marvin. Oh my gosh, amazing actor. Because like that scene where our first introduction to Jimmy Stewart's character and Lee Marvin's character is just phenomenal. You get this nice down angle of Marvin's face with the bandana. It's so freaking menacing. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm loving this film. Just like how it's shot and everything. But the character dynamics of Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne, they're kind of a tussle over the character of Haley, and it's just like, oh, this is so good because John Wayne's character thinks he has it in the bag, and there's that moment where,
well, and had Rance not shown up, probably would have married Haley.
Probably would have, but there's this amazing this like how the story progresses. Where you have the moment in the classroom where they realize, oh, Vance is going to be in town, everybody leave. And John Wayne's character says to Haley, it's like, hey, be like, hey, you need to get out of here. Be like, you shouldn't be learning anyway. And I love how she bows up to him. It's like, hey, be like, it's like, hey, you can't tell me what to do. You do not own me. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that as a character. It's like, and John Wayne's was like, all right. And he walks off. So like this all interesting dynamics of how John Wayne's character is trying to push Jimmy Stewart's character the entire time. Not push him in a bad way, to see like where he goes. Be like trying to steward him in a way.
Yeah.
And I love that about this film. It's so good. And there's, obviously the dynamic of what the conclusion is, and like who really shot Liberty Valance. And it's like, this is really good storytelling. So yeah, my first like is character. Or characters in plural.
Right. My first like for this film is John Wayne as Tom Donovan.
Yeah.
And here's why I say that, because the whole gist of this is that it's Tom that shot Liberty Valance, right? I mean, I won't even fight you over that.
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing. The only reason we know that is because that's what Tom told Rance.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we see throughout the film Rance is a poor shot.
Yes.
He never gets really practiced enough that he can be a good shot. But so the chances of him actually hitting Liberty are very, very slim.
And with his left hand, no doubt.
Right. However, I'd like to point out that in the shot during Rance's point of view, you can neither see movement nor even smoke from the direction John Wayne is supposedly standing at.
Okay.
Now, more than likely, this is probably because the two scenes were shot separately.
Yeah, they were shot separately.
So, the two different versions. So, that's the real reason. But it does not necessarily have to be that. With it almost feels like there is a very small chance Tom didn't show up until he walked in on Haley fixing his hand.
Possibly.
And that changes the story to where Tom, when he does tell Rance that he's the one who shot Liberty Valance, assuming that Rance actually was the one who did it, that he is absolving him of
the guilt
of having killed a man when he didn't want to do it that way. He wanted to do it by rule of law.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself, no matter how you actually reinterpret any of this, it still comes down to John Wayne never had to tell him that.
Yeah, I think
John Wayne's character, Tom, is in love with Haley. He wants to marry Haley, and he's admittedly been dragging. I think he's been dragging his feet trying to get that room built on, and that's probably why when you get right down to it, the reason he lost her is he took too long. That's why he lost her to Rance. But he as things are going on, Rance has time to talk with him, and even though he spelled out to Rance that was his girl, things naturally bloomed between Rance and Haley.
Oh, agreed.
And Tom, I think, realized that in the when he walked in on him. when she was fixing his hand after the gunfight. So that, and I'd like to point out that Rance actually does appreciate Tom as a person, because he was his nomination to be the delegate to go to the statehood convention.
Agreed.
So we're not talking enemies here. They are at least rough friends.
Yeah.
And Tom and Rance does respect Tom enough to put him up there, when honestly, I would, to a degree, I would be doubtful if Tom was actually qualified for doing something like that. He might have been. He's probably the best choice the town has. But either way,
Yeah. Because I don't think John Wayne's character, Tom, would...
Tom would not have appreciated it, because I think to a
wouldn't.
degree, Tom kind of agrees with the people, with the cattlemen on the other side of the river. To a degree.
To a degree, I think
He
so.
still lives with everyone on that side of the river and wants what's best for the town, but to a degree, because he's always saying all that learning, all this idealism that Rance is promoting sounds great. But this is the West, and this is how things are actually done. They're done with the justices at the end of a gun, not at the end of a law book.
Right.
And that's what he says throughout the whole thing.
Right.
So when you get to that point, there are two major points. The part where he realizes he's lost Haley to Rance completely in there, and then he goes and drinks, and when he finally
Oh, yeah. Love that.
truly accepts that this is the right thing to do, and he tells Tom, he tells Rance, that it was him who shot, that was Tom that shot Liberty,
Yeah.
not Rance. In both those instances, I think that was not for Rance's sake. I think those were both because of his love of Haley.
Yeah.
And he wanted her to be with the man she actually loved and he thought might be best for her, which he at that point accepted was not him.
Yeah.
But I like how no matter, because it doesn't matter, the story doesn't matter who actually shot Liberty Valance.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious since that's the name. But, and admittedly, yes, it was Tom who shot Liberty Valance as far as anything's concerned. But depending on how you watch it, it's kind of interesting to think what if Tom is not the one who shot Liberty Valance? What if Rance actually was the one and Tom tried to relieve him of his guilt because he knew Rance was the best person to handle.
I do agree with
for
you.
Haley and for the territory.
I do agree with you. I do. There's
And
the
fact is, you watch John Wayne perform this character, and yet he's still playing it John Wayne-esque.
Yeah.
He's very much in the character of John Wayne as we think of him.
Agreed.
But the acting you can see on his face is a lot deeper than just a character actor.
Oh yeah, agreed.
He's doing you can see when he walks there, you can see the emotions roil on his face, where it's like, this man got shot, she's protecting him, I love her for that. At the same time, I've lost her. And he's both in love with her and hates that he's in love with her at the same time. And you can see those emotions kind of roll over his face, which I loved.
Oh, okay.
And the fact that he still was made sure he was there at the convention, even though he didn't want to go. Otherwise, he had accepted the nomination. But I don't know. I love John Wayne as Tom Donovan in this. He does such a good job. I know it's kind of a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Obvious to go with John Wayne as a like in a John Wayne starring film. But he does such a good job in this.
I agree that John Wayne he is playing his prototypical John Wayne character.
Yeah.
But I do love the point. I love your point where it was more that if you look from a different perspective, was it Donovan who shot him, or was it?
I think it's delightfully. While I still say, the movie does say it's Tom.
Yeah, it's what he says.
But I love the way that they shot it. It's ambiguous.
Yeah, it's
and
very
we
ambiguous.
only have what Tom told Rance.
Yeah, and it makes sense, because if Rance is so guilt ridden by this event, and it totally makes sense for a man Tom Donovan to kind of, because this was a rough and tumble Western guy, and Rance is a northern guy who comes in and is not used to this lifestyle, and he's killed a man, and he wants to relieve this man's burden on him. It's like, okay, I did it. Be like, I'm the one who shot him.
Yeah,
and it relieves him of that guilt. And I love that perspective, that it's like, even though, be like, if like both perspectives could be right.
Yeah,
it could be that, you know, Rance did kill him, or it could be that Donovan killed him. Because it depends on how you look at the perspective. And I love how, like, you go from John Wayne's character Donovan to be like, at the very beginning of the movie, he is very clean cut. He's very, like, very polished kind of a character, very much John Wayne character. And then you go from the point from after the shooting, when Haley and what's his name? Sorry.
Rance.
When be like, he starts realizing that, be like, hey, they're a couple, and he wants her to be happy, he completely falls apart as a character, because be like, he goes back to his home, he burns down his house, be like, and Pompey has to come in and save him. And then be like, the next time we see him, he comes in, he's disheveled, be like, he has a 5 o'clock shadow, and be like, this is a man who is broken. This is a man, be like, he has lost everything he ever loved. Be like, he loves Haley, but he realizes he has to give her up in order for her to be happy with Rance. And I love your perspective that, be like, Donovan goes in there and just, because you can see where Rance is so, like, be like, he's so guilt ridden because of the event. And Donovan just tells him straight up, be like, hey, I'm the one who did it. Be like, I'm the one who shot Liberty. Be like, because I'm a killer, you're not.
Yeah.
And it's just,
he takes the sin upon himself.
He takes the burden upon his own shoulders. So for Jim,
because Liberty was not going to be taken down by law, unfortunately.
No, of course not.
He was only going to go the way of the gun just because he was that obstinate about it.
Yeah, of course.
The question was it going to be Rance? Was it going to be Tom? Or some later down the line, a lawman who goes and takes him down?
Yeah, and also be like,
or some other crook.
I love Lee Barben's character of Liberty Valance, because you have this idea of a bad guy, but you look at how petulant and childish he is about every little thing that goes on.
Yeah. It is so nice to have a villain in a film who is not morally gray.
Yeah, he's a bad guy who, like, he gets his little feelings hurt, and he throws a tantrum, and he threatens everybody around him, and he bullies people and everything. I'm like, yeah, you're a villain. You're a very insecure villain. It's definitely when, like, Donovan steps up to him and, like, shows him, be like, hey, I'm better than you, or at least be like, we're on par with each other, and he throws the biggest tantrum ever. I'm like, that's a way to play a villain.
Yeah.
It's not this, like, walk off, stomp, throw something. Like, no, he literally throws a fit.
Yeah.
He throws a fit. He starts shooting up the town because he's so frustrated. Like, he's gotten bettered of. And there again, I don't think Liberty Valance as a character is a very intelligent character. Be like, he's based on instinct. He's based on his mood, his immaturity, and
he's basically used to being the biggest bully in the playground.
Yeah, he's used to being the biggest bully in the West, and be like, Donovan's like, hey, be like, yeah, try it. Yeah, like, just give me an excuse. Give me an excuse to put a bullet in your gut.
Yeah,
and it's just like, it just plays perfect. And like, you have the dynamic between Liberty Valance and Donovan, and then you have Liberty Valance and
Rance.
Thank you. I'm terrible with names. Yeah, that dynamic so well, because you start to realize, be like, Valance can't push Rance around either, because he's a man who's very different dynamically from Donovan. Very different guys, but the same. Be like, hey, be like, I believe in the law. You're going to go down for the law because you did this and this and this. Be like, even if I had to shoot you, be like, you're still going to go to justice.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I'm going on a rant, but the point where we get the point where Liberty Valance is dead, And like the scene before where the house doc, the town doctor has this conversation, be like, I hope it's the next time it's you, and I have to, to prod over you, and he just walks over after Valance is dead, and it's like just kicks him over. It's like, he's dead, walks off.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, there we go. That is a character
Doesn't matter
moment.
if he was dead or not. It's like he died at a place where nobody cared about him because he had made everybody else mad. So
I mean, like, he had bullied and everybody else, and we're like, okay, he's dead, we don't care. And the point where they're carrying his body off in the wagon and his feet are just bobbing. I was like,
care so little.
They care so little for this character. And Lee Marvin does an excellent job.
He does an excellent job.
Excellent job. So let's go into my second like.
Oh, I thought that was your second like.
No. I think we were both kind of just bouncing off each other with that one. So my second like kind of bounces back into your first one, was like the revelation who actually killed Liberty Valance. There again, I love your perspective. Is that it could be either one of them. It could be that Rance actually did shoot him.
It's slim.
It's slim.
It is possible.
It's possible if we go by the narrative of the movie that Rance didn't shoot him, but it was Donovan who shot him, and be like, we get that revelation afterwards, or it was Rance who actually did shoot him, and then you have later on Donovan just makes the story up that like, hey, I actually shot him. Be like, I took Pompey's shotgun and shot him.
Yeah.
To alleviate the sin upon poor Rance's shoulders that he can go on and do all these great things. Because I think if a man either or would be like a man like Rance who had shot someone and is so guilt-ridden, he would have never went with it. He'd be like, again, he was walking out of the assembly because I'm going back home. Be like, I can't do this. And either
he
or
felt like he couldn't live a lie.
Yeah, he couldn't live a lie. And so be like, it's this great dynamic of these two characters in that lobby. Be like whoever did shoot him, be like, it takes that amount of encouragement from Donovan to go forward. Because you have two characters at that exact moment are broken. Two broken characters. And one who is willing to lose everything in order for his girl to be happy. And is trying to encourage this guy, be like, hey, you got where things going. Get out there. Be like, if I shot him, I just told you. If you shot him, I'm going to tell you I shot him. Go and do great things. Go. So be like, whatever.
Do what's best for my girl.
Yeah, do whatever best for my girl. And be like, and again, Haley still loves Donovan.
Yeah.
Like it's such
that's shown by her leaving the cactus rose on his casket.
Oh yeah, shot beautifully. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I love this movie. But yeah, the idea of like it depends on your perspective and how do you think the story actually. Because if we're going by canon, it was actually Donovan who shot him. But if you look at it from a different perspective, it could have been Rance. Very slim chance that he actually did shoot him because there again. His right arm was damaged. Yeah. He was trying to shoot with his left hand. He's never shot with his left hand. And there's a possibility you never know. But yeah, I love that. When you brought that up, it was like, okay, that's a great perspective because I didn't think of that. And it's like, oh yeah, it's like, who actually shot Liberty Valance?
To a degree. Here's the thing. Like I said.
Yeah.
Tom shot Liberty.
Yeah, Tom shot him.
I'm not questioning that.
Yeah.
I bring up the idea that the movie doesn't actually show that.
Yeah.
That the only time we see him shoot Liberty is in his flashback within a flashback. And we don't know if he's actually being truthful there or if he's just telling Rance what he needs what he needs to tell him in order for Rance to go in there and do what he needs to do. We don't know.
We really don't know.
And it could go either way. Granted, more likely that Tom shot Liberty than
most
Rance.
likely.
But that's not. But like it says, like the guy says at the end of the film, when the fact becomes legend, print the legend.
And just like fun little side note on this. So the scene with the flashback within the flashback where Tom shoots Vance, be like, that's a scene I remember because I remember like John Wayne walking into shadow, and be like, you know, Pompey throws him the gun, and then just the scene, boom, and I remember that. Be like, I don't remember much of anything, but I remember that scene very clearly. So yeah, who actually shot Liberty Valance? With all count, probably Tom did.
More than likely.
More likely, he shot him. But there's the slightest chance that Tom is making up a story in order to encourage Ranson to do greater things. Because if Ranson went on his own way, be like, he would have never gone on and done anything.
Yeah.
He would literally just went home. So yeah, you have catalyst of character who pushes the other character forward. That's my number 2, even though we just talked about it with the same in the same breath. But either or, what is your number 2?
So I know to a degree that the reason they shot with so many older actors in this, outside of star power, was simply the fact that that's who was available, and they weren't really wanting younger actors for these roles. But I kind of love that because they went with older actors, and this is all being told from older Rance's point of view, that these are not necessarily the characters as they actually were. These are his remembrances, his memories.
Got it.
Of the characters, and they're slightly flawed, and they're also slightly different because he's remembering them through the lens of all this time passing. So while they are all meant to be much younger characters, we're still seeing them from this older point of view that a lot of these characters either had wisdom that they definitely should not have had because of their age. And I just love this perspective. It's like we're seeing it from this older man's perspective, and somehow that has also aged everybody in his story a couple years older than they actually were, even though, you know, Jimmy Stewart is like supposed to be 30 or 20 in his 20s in this, and John Wayne's supposed to be in his 30s, or I don't know I don't remember the exact numbers. But I love that because of the discongruity of their visual ages to the age the characters are supposed to be. I love how that kind of helps set the mood, because we're not seeing the actual story of who shot Liberty Valance. We're seeing Rance's memory and his storytelling methods of who shot Liberty Valance.
Right.
He's telling the truth to the best of his ability and to the best of his knowledge.
Yeah.
But he's also telling it 25 years later than the events occurred. And a lot of things have happened. A lot of thoughts on it have occurred. Granted, the only other actors we get to see in the advanced part of the film are Haley, who is mostly just sad, so we don't get to really see much of her range as an actress in that section. Link, also sad, but also pretty much, I get the feeling that that's a character he got, the character that Rance the storyteller got exactly right. and Pompey, who has no speaking lines. And those are the only characters that were in the bookend part, the bookend parts of it that were in the main part of it, and they have different roles basically in the bookends than they do in the main story. So we don't really get to see how different the characters are in Rance's memories than how they are in real life. But I love the idea that that they're visually aged to what Rance remembers as he's looking back through the age of time to how mature the characters probably actually were, even though they may not have been that mature in wisdom and thought. I may be reading too much into it, but I think this is a cool aspect of it, even though the honest answer is they wanted John Wayne, they wanted James Stewart. They were both technically too old for the roles, but who cares? We'll just hire a bunch of other old actors to play young characters, and it'll look like we thought it through. I don't know. Like I said, I may be reading too much into it, but it's just I can't. This is at an age of filmmaking where I almost, at least in my own fantasies, maybe think that they put more thought into how these films were made on the minute scale instead of just throwing stuff at the screen and praying it sticks, like sometimes seems to be the case nowadays.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's your third like?
So I want to go on just a little bit of history with this film, really, really quick. So in the documentary on the version of the DVD version I have, it comes with like a 10-part documentary, and it's talking with a bunch of people who either had a connection with the film or director or whatever. And there's a point where like John Ford wants to get this movie made, and there again, this is the early 60s, and be like Paramount's like okay, and so okay, be like okay, we'll talk about it, and he puts up like half the money for this film, and like a year, like nothing's happened, and so John Wayne comes along, and John Wayne's already a big actor to this point. Be like literally at this point, he has a 10 movie deal with Paramount, and literally like that, it's like the movie is set because John Wayne's in it. In a small way, John Ford, who was this former, like very esteemed director, it's literally his movie gets greenlit because John Wayne's in the film, and he also adds James Stewart into it, making the film a little more better. Because if it was John Ford only, and it got some like no name actors, I mean, the movie probably never got made. But the star power, due to Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne, the movie got made. And I think in some ways that John Ford was a little jealous of that. Either or, my third like on this film, this movie is shot in black and white, and I actually love it. Shocker, I actually like a black and white film. I'm kidding when I say that. It'd be like, I really
you like black and white films. I just always make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I didn't like them. So now it'd be like as an adult, I enjoy them. But so there's one part in this documentary, because I watched it afterwards, and there's a part where John Ford wants to use black and white because there again, you be like, if you be like, you actually be like, you can, with you're using Technicolor, you don't have to be correct in everything. With this movie, with you used black and white, you had to use your shadows and your lights. You had to use your contrast. You had to be an expert director and cameraman and everything else to do a movie like this right. And speaking of using shadows and lights and everything, you have the flashback within the flashback where Donovan is telling the story where, I actually shot Liberty. It's like this amazing contrast of shadow where you don't see, you see Donovan in the scene, but he's lurking in the shadow, and it's contrast is so freaking beautiful. I love that, because they're going to be like, that's one of my earliest memories of this movie. And it's just like, wow, oh my gosh. Because they're like, because when you're doing black and white films, you don't have the luxury of you got all this great color. You don't have to bother with contrast. It's there. With this, you have to make it. You have to make the shadows deep.
You have to do that with color too.
That
sometimes.
Is true, that is true. But in the 1960s, it was different.
Yeah, they were trying to, in the 1960s, they were trying to still show off color.
Yeah, they're trying to show off color, and he just wanted to shoot black and white, understandably, because it was more of a challenge to shoot it in black and white. Because there again, this wasn't converted from color. This is shot black and white. And I
like how what information you came up with for this, and the information I came up with are at odds with each other.
They're slightly odds.
Because mine that says pretty much he was going to have to make it with in black and white, or the Paramount wasn't going to pay for it because they were trying to save money.
There again, that's where I get my information. So.
No, you're fine. I find it funny that we both got information on why it was shot in black and white, and ours disagrees. So apparently, there's no confirmation as to why it was shot in black and white.
No, there apparently isn't. But the like how sharp the blacks are, and be like, again, I watched this on DVD. This wasn't on Blu-ray or 4K. This be like, for a film shot in 1962 or 61 when this was shot, just the way the photography and the direction of the camera and the use of the simple black and white, am I saying that right, sepia tone? No,
sepia is technically that brownish.
That's right.
tone.
That's right. Yeah, sepia tone's brown.
No, this is grayscale.
Yeah, grayscale. That's what I was looking for. Grayscale. Looking for, like, it is shot in a grayscale, and just how they use the it's like how it's shot. It's a beautiful film, and how be like the grays are grays and the blacks are black. Be like, it's literally, you have, again, John Wayne's character just melts into the shadow. You don't see him, and it'd be like, it's like you're convinced that John Wayne's in that scene, in that previous scene, he just never seen. And it's just like, okay, that makes sense, and it's done beautifully. I love the color contrast in this movie. It's so beautiful, and it's like there's this and this and this about this movie I love. So, yeah. Anyways, what is your third like?
My third like for this film is Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I'm going to call him Jimmy Stewart, not James Stewart, because to me, he's Jimmy Stewart.
Of course.
I get that this is not how he was crediting himself at the time.
Yeah.
But I love Jimmy Stewart in this. Granted, he is still playing what I think of as Jimmy Stewart. He is in a lot of his films. But in this one, it's like, I love the idea of this idealistic young man who comes out to the West, should have been taught this is how the cow eats cabbage, because as soon as he gets out here, he gets mugged. They do nurse him back to health, and he does try to do the right thing by working at the bar the diner in order to raise the money he owes for his recuperants. And then as he's there, he does different things to help each other. We never actually get to see him lawyer.
No, we don't.
He's officially a lawyer. He never lawyers.
No.
To my knowledge, the man never practices law.
No.
At all.
Like, he's a teacher.
He teaches more than he does anything else. And he's as soon as he comes to town, he slowly starts building a reputation for himself as this knowledgeable man, and the entire town likes him. Not counting Liberty, because Liberty's not from town.
Right.
But and even John Wayne likes the guy. Every single thing you see him do to Jimmy Stewart in this film is to show him, hey, you are in over your head. I am trying to tell you this is how things are going, and you need you need to decide to buck up and be and approach this like everyone else in town would approach it, instead of this other way you're wanting to do it. And I think slowly over the course of time, especially and this is really what brought me to the idea that we don't know who, or made me start looking at that scene and wondering, do we actually know if Tom actually shot Liberty or if it was Rance? Tom eventually, whether he shoots Liberty or not, recognizes that Rance is a man of principles, and his principles are probably the right ones.
Probably.
They're not what's there now, and he doesn't need. He's a little ahead of his time, but they're the ones that need to be here to tame the West, and this is what would be best for Haley.
Yeah, agreed.
But I like how this is a man who never bends and never breaks from his principles. Yeah, the closest he gets is he is driven to basically between a rock and a hard place where Liberty Valance forces him to either run away a coward, which Rance isn't.
True. Or
to shoot him dead in the streets or die trying. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Agreed.
It's a it's a Kobayashi Maru scenario.
Yeah.
there's no win for Rance except what Tom does for him. Whether Tom actually shot him or just told him he shot him later on.
Yeah.
Because this works either way.
It's one of those darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Right. And even to the point where they're at the statehood hearing, and and Rance realizes everyone is nominating him, and probably he's going to get he's going to get not just get the nomination, he's going to win the election.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the one we see that it's going to put him on all this other stuff because of the fame of being this fighter for truth and justice, and because that's how most people are seeing him. Because Liberty Valance, this is like saying this is the man who shot Billy the Kid.
That's true.
That is basically what this is, because in this universe, Liberty Valance is basically a notorious outlaw that's been terrorizing, if not the entire West, at least this corner.
Yeah.
Very harshly.
Agreed.
To the point where even the train conductors know who Liberty Valance was 25 years later.
Exactly. It's such a big legend.
The legend has... Whether the legend grew because of who Rance is, or if Rance happened to come in right at the tail end of the legend of Liberty Valance. The notorious legend, but a legend. No matter how that actually goes down, it all comes down because Rance is not one to break his principles, but he has to bend over very harshly because he's either got to kill Liberty, so if he's the one who killed Liberty Valance, or if it was Tom, he's got to pretty much put up with the guilt that of this is I have to now live with this story that I'm the one who killed Liberty while it was really him who should be the hero.
Yeah. Agreed.
Jimmy Stewart just does, especially in those last scenes on the train where he's talking to Haley and they're asking the questions and you can just see the look on his face. It's like, I've been living with this story for years. I want it to end, and I just want to go home. And now, to him, his home is Shinbone.
Yeah,
and that's where she wants to go. And they hint that he's probably up for vice presidential nomination.
Yeah,
in this film, and you can tell at the end he does not want that. He just wants to be done because he's had to live with this legend of himself. And he doesn't even see himself as this man because he's not this man.
Yeah.
But he's kind of banking on that. And Jimmy Stewart just does such a good job with this performance of being this man who has to pretend to be this other man that he's not because that's the official story. That he is the man who shot Liberty Valance. Yeah. And he has to deal with the fact that the one time he tried to lay it all out and give himself an escape.
Give himself an
out of that lie, even though it would tarnish his reputation. The people he told says, no, we're not going to print that story. You're going to have to live with being this famous and being a hero. Sorry.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Even though he doesn't feel like he deserves it. Because no matter what, he doesn't... Yeah, he lost either way.
Yeah, agreed. So
yeah, that's my third is Jimmy Stewart as Rance starter.
Oh, okay. So I do want to say I do want to get kind of like a bonus on a plus episode of definitely a character of Pompey. I love this actor. He's so good. I think I remember seeing him a few times in other films, but this guy is golden. Like every time, he is the goal. I don't know how to describe it. Like anytime he's in a scene and all you hear John Wayne's here is like Pompey, and all you see is just like click. Yeah. Here's the gun. Like, do you want to mess around? No.
Well, anytime he says Pompey, and Pompey's like right there, and you can tell this is not a master-slave situation.
No.
This is just he's my hired help, and I treat him as an equal. Yeah. No matter what the actual legal relationship was.
Yes. But I think, besides that, I think it's more like these two men be like are friends. Be like they do respect each other and be like, because John Wayne's character respects the crap out of him. And there's the scene that got me. The scene that got me, it was like after Liberty Valance has been shot and not Ranson.
You can call him Ransom because that's his full name.
It's not Ranson. Sorry, it's not Ranson. It's John Wayne's character. Tom. Like, Tom's in the bar. He's drinking because he's miserable. And be like, he throws out the rest of Liberty Valance's gang. And so be like, he goes to give Poppy a drink. And he's like, hey, you can't be like, hey, I give my friend a drink. And I'm like, there we go. Because like that shows the characters of like not the characters, but it shows the amount of respect these two men have for each other. And it's just like, because be like, Pompey's my friend. Be like, he's my hired hand. Be like, yes, we are two different skin tones, but I don't care. He's gonna drink. If I drink, he drinks. You got a problem with it? I was like, okay, that's cool. I enjoy that scene. But yeah, just like anytime Pompey's in the scene, if it's just more like he's just standing there or doing something, but like he's just a really cool character. I thought he was a really cool character. So that's my kind of a fourth bonus. So what, do you have anything else?
No, I'm ready to move on to dislikes.
Okay.
Not that I'm going to have an easy time with dislikes.
No, I have one.
Okay, so what's your first dislike?
My first is like, so we go to the school scene, which again, be like, this is, Rand's supposed to be a lawyer, but he turns into more of a teacher.
There's not much law that needs to happen in that town because the only criminal is Liberty Valance.
Yeah. So there's a scene where Rance is teaching the class, and it goes to a front forwarding shot of Jimmy Stewart, and he's in front of the chalkboard, and there's a picture of Lincoln, I believe, and on the other wall there's
I thought it was Washington, but anyway,
I think it's Washington or Lincoln, whichever. Either or, be like great presidents. There is on the wall an American flag. And actually count the stars. There's 50.
Yeah, there shouldn't be 50.
No, because this is the late 19th century.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have...
It definitely couldn't even have been 50, even in the fantasy, because they're not in the state yet.
They're not a territory.
They're still a territory.
And be like, and I think, what was it? Our Alaska wasn't a... It was a
Hawaii was the last one, I think.
Yeah, it was. Hawaii wasn't a territory until like the 1930s? No, 20s, I think.
I thought it was 50s. Keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll look it
up. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's wrong. I'm like, that sounds like somebody who didn't be like, oh, just paint an American flag. Not even thinking this is the late 19th century. It's not the 20th century yet. I'm like, wait a minute, this is off. This is wrong.
Both Alaska and Hawaii are admitted to the U.S. as states in 1959.
Oh, that makes sense. With
Alaska in January and Hawaii in August.
Oh, okay. And this film would have been shot in 1961. Okay.
Right. So that's probably why someone put 50 states on there. They weren't really thinking that it should technically be somewhere around 30.
Yeah, it's yeah. But either or. But at that point, it had been 48 states. Or it could have been less.
No, that's why I was thinking 30, because, I mean, many of your Western states are still territories at this point.
That is true.
Because this really does feel like it's like... did this say what year it was?
It was...
no.
What I understand, it was like the late 18 something.
Okay, it was that the quote unquote present day section was near the turn of the 20th century. So it's safe to say this is after the Civil War, but before the 20th century. So it should be somewhere maybe in the 30s.
Yeah.
Because most of your Western territories may not have gained statehood yet.
They weren't state yet.
You may have had California, and Texas would have been in there, but like, if this is supposed to be Colorado, here's a question. Because the assumption is that it's Southern Colorado.
So what like We said 1830, 1840?
No, it's going to be closer to like 1875.
Yeah,
because it's
1875.
25 years before the turn of the century.
That is true because again, it's after the Civil War.
So it'd be after the Civil War. Yeah.
So 25 years. So you're looking like 1870. So, like, yeah, a lot of those Western states are certain to become Western territories are certain to become states.
Okay. Colorado, which is the best guess as to what state this is 1875.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be about 25 years before the turn of the century. So, and there would probably, and there would have been probably about 30 to 40 states at that time.
Yeah. So most likely this was probably 1875 or 1876 when the past scenes were shot was 1876. And you go 25 years later, it's 1890.
Paladin Pirates says Colorado was 38. So fair.
So yeah, it was probably a painter or whoever.
It was the kind of thing that they didn't expect. They weren't thinking, and it was in the background. If anyone caught it, even in an edit, they couldn't have fixed it back then and say, well, it's in the background. It's not horrible. We're not going to reshoot the scene because somebody painted 12 extra stars on this flag. Let's just move on.
Oh, okay.
That's my thinking.
Okay, fair.
If they even caught it.
No, they probably didn't.
It's in the background.
And there again, be like you have, guys like us 50 something years later.
Bear in mind, this was intended to be seen on a big screen, not a television.
Yeah.
And it's you're not paying attention to them or to the background. You're paying attention to Rance and the characters. So you see this back there. It's like, oh, flag, school. Okay.
Yeah. You don't think about it.
You don't think about it. Because I didn't think about it. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, 60 years later, guys like us was like, wait a minute, that's a 50 flag, not 30s. Mm-hmm. It's wrong.
And even if this is there should be 37 states at the time this movie takes place, there probably would not have been a 37 state flag at the time because they were adding them so quickly. So it may have been like 35 because all that still has to be approved through Congress.
Right.
Every time they add a star.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So
anyway,
do you have a dislike?
Not really.
Gotcha.
This is a hard movie to dislike because, I missed that detail that you brought up about the flag, but there's so many good details in this throughout the whole film that they did such a good job of handling. I feel like there probably should be something, and if I think about, I'll probably remember it about noon tomorrow.
Probably
a dislike for this film, but I have a hard time coming up with one other than the transfer. I'll go with this. This is not a knock against the film itself, but a knock against the method that we have to watch it under. I'm assuming this being the DVD that this is coming from the VHS master, which itself does not look like it had a good transfer from the film.
It's probably coming from the Laserdisc.
It could, that's also true. It's probably coming from the Laserdisc. But either way, it's all coming from that master, which probably was also used for the capacitance and all the other stuff. Yeah. And it was okay, fair. He just showed me the flag, what the flag should have been at the time. But is that the actual one, or is that some artist's rendition?
No. That is the. Hold on, let me go back.
That's the only reason I'm asking.
That was the United States flag from 1867 to 1877.
Okay, so yeah, that would have been the flag that they should have had.
That should have had up there.
But either way, the transfer on this is pretty bad. There's a lot of what looks like age film grain. You know what I mean? Where it's grainy, but it's not the film grain. It's as it's aged, it's not been cleaned up. Okay. Granted, this is probably the original master for this that it's pulled from was probably done in the 80s. It was going to be seen on CRT television. So
yeah, hold on 1 second. Yeah, keep going.
Sorry, you threw me.
Yeah.
It was probably so. It wasn't really. There wasn't meant to be seen on our nice, fancy 1080p televisions. But yeah, it was a little. It just the print was a little dirty from the transfer I saw, and that mostly only affected really like the beginning and some of the really dark spots. But I am nitpicking horribly. But it's still a very good film, and I do have a hard time coming up with dislikes for this one. So, did you figure out what you were looking for?
Yes, I was actually. So, I was trying to figure out because you were talking about that. And I was like, wait, I didn't get none of that on mine. Mm-hmm. So the DVD you have, is from 2005.
Yeah,
was the
that would make about sense because that would have been about the time Grandpa would have bought it.
Yeah. So the version I have is from 2009. So I'm thinking
there could have been another transfer in that time period. Maybe
probably.
Probably some restoration had been done to the film because obviously no restoration had been done to my copy.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, wait a minute, be like you had green film or something like that because there's nothing in this film. It's crisp and clean. It's like
I know I could see some regular film grain like you would expect to see in a film this age. But there's also some stuff that's like, oh, this is they did no cleanup when they took it from the film stock to whether it was a VHS master or a whatever master they originally made all these from.
Yes,
all the VH. I was still gonna say the VHS master, even though it's probably a Betamax master or some other television level master, not a film master. Which your version probably did come from a film master, I'm guessing.
Possibly.
But
I'm just curious now.
But yeah, that's gonna be like my only thing because it was just there was just a little bit of grain. The audio sounded good to me, but I don't. That could just be how they had a good copy. I did have use the restored mono audio.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't use the fancy surround. I heard it the way it was intended to be heard in glorious monaural sound.
Gotcha.
And the audio sounded good to me, so.
Gotcha. I'm generally curious if I can find information on this. But
video wise, that was like the only thing. And it's really only in like a couple shots, mostly noticeable in during the title sequence because that's all still frames that they're switching between. Because that's just how you made films back then.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So I just looked it up. Be like the version I have is a Criterion version.
Okay. So Criterion would have cleaned that up a lot, and they would have put some money into it. The original Paramount cut I have probably was just, we're putting this out to make money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's fair.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Because the film I'm watching is like, man, this thing's crisp. And then I'm like, wait a minute, let me look this all out. No wonder. It's a Criterion version.
Criterion would have definitely cleaned it up and made it look nice.
Oh, yeah. So
or as nice as they can.
So, I'm generally curious, if people who are Western fans, Western film fans, because I watched this because, I had it. I actually have two versions of this film. I think I have your version with the double pack. And I had this one. So I wanted to watch this one. And it was like, okay. And I had no idea it was Criterion. No idea. But I was like, okay, that makes sense. So if you want to watch a really crisp version of it, go find this one.
Yeah, for your own viewing pleasure, go do that. And there's a Blu-ray. Go check the Blu-ray.
There's a Blu-ray, and there's also in 2022
a 4K Ultra HD, which is going to look even nicer.
Exactly. So
in that version, you probably can't get any better because you were actually seeing the film grains.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing is from my copy of it, even which was the version I inherited. It wasn't the best transfer, but the fact that I go to that as a dislike shows you how much I like this film.
That is
because there is not much bad to talk about. I have one other thing.
Okay,
minor. In the present day scenes, Pompey's bald cap does not look good.
No, I agree. It looks kind of janky.
I can see that even on my DVD. It's like, they didn't even try to mix his skin color with that bald cap, did they?
It didn't look good.
You could see the seam.
Yeah, or like Jimmy Stewart's, like be like, oh, he's white haired. Be like, that doesn't look like an old man's hair. That looks like someone who's wearing a white wig, or his hair's been dyed white,
or painted white,
or painted. Most likely,
right.
60s was painted white.
But
I was like, yeah, that doesn't look very good. It's like forced wrinkles and everything. But
once again, this was made at a time where people weren't looking for stuff like that.
No,
and no one would have thought of it. And plus, like I still say, this is seen through the lens of memory of one particular character, so it's allowed to be a little jank.
Exactly.
So, do you have anything else before we rate this film?
No.
What are you rating it?
Well, I want to hear yours first.
I think I'm going 9.5.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I really do like this film. It's very well done. I was kind of excited to get this one on the list when I realized, this is one we can do for a Plus film. We should do it if Jacob's up for it, because I wasn't sure. Black and white film. And I honestly was not sure what your thoughts were on Westerns before this. But I was excited to get this one on there to a point where I actually thought we were reviewing this last week instead of Happy Feet. Because Good Night is this a far better film than Happy Feet.
It's leaps and bounds.
You can say that, yes. But yeah, this is such a good film, and I really do suggest this for anybody to watch, assuming you're old enough to deal with violence and a little bit of language. Even if you are not a fan of Westerns, even if you don't like black and white, just go watch this film. It is that good. I can't rate it high enough. 9.5. The only reason I'm not even putting it at 0.5 is I like some films better than this one.
Fair.
Because that's just how things go. So, yeah, I'm going 9.5.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. It's same boat as a 9.5. This is a excellent film. From the crew, the staff, the actors, the direction, cast. Thank you. The cast, everything, the script, like even the stage work. Be like, you obviously you can tell they're on a stage, but I don't care. It looks great.
I really want to see this put on as a stage play.
Oh my gosh,
this would be good as a stage play.
This would be really, really good as a stage play. But it's like, it's a phenomenal cast. Like, John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, you can't get any better. Definitely in the like 40s, 50s, 60s, like even into the mid 70s before John Wayne died. And like, it's still just like, oh my gosh, bring it. And it's like, if you haven't watched this film, go watch it. Go find it. Like, if it's on Blu-ray, DVD, or Ultra HD. Be like,
if you've got a player for that.
If you got a player for it. But be like, if you're looking for a DVD version,
go with the Criterion.
Go with the Criterion version.
Though I'll stick with mine.
Yeah.
But anyways, that brings us to the end of this review. Mm-hmm. Join us on the other side of the bumpers, and we will get to talking about some Batman.
Oh.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Geek Devotions. Yes, I know Dallas doesn't like Westerns, and I'm reading his thing on an episode where we reviewed a Western, but he'll just have to deal. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. You can find all their content at geekdevotions.com. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, thanks Roy, PaulJPowers.com, The Monster Island Film Vault, Edwin Gonzalez, and for the first time since she started donating to us last week, Artsy Steph. She came in at the $10 level, and so she is picking a movie for us to review this August, so stay tuned for that. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, or in uncut episodes, you can join us on the Patreon at the $5 level. Or, oh, by the way, there's also a Discord channel that you get exclusive access to, so keep that in mind. Or at the $10 level, you can force us to review something within reason. You just donate at the $10 level on our Patreon, or just give us a DM. We can talk. All our patron picks for 2025 are spoken for and paid for.
Yeah, closed.
So you will have to wait for 2026. Also go check out our Redbubble store, so you can get t-shirts and hats and stickers and who knows what else of some different artwork we've done. Go check out Like an Artist on all of his socials, because he's pretty much that anywhere you go, including some live streams sometimes on Twitch
on Mondays.
Right.
I'm going to try to get back to doing that, but as of recently, I have to work late.
Yeah.
So
I still want to promote you out there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
And then, of course, join me on Tuesday nights on all our Twitch stuff, all our stuff here, while I play some different video games here and there. I may go back to Kingdom Hearts. I may not. I don't know. I probably will at some point. But join us in those locations. And, yeah.
So before we get into that, because I think Bobo, I think it was Bobo or somebody else, mentioned that Who Shot Liberty Valance as a stage play. It actually is a stage play.
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, so I looked it up and I was like, wait a tick.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the article's it's a 2014 stage play. And I was like, really? It's slightly different. It's a slightly different iteration from the film, but it's still the man who shot Liberty Valance. So, yeah, apparently it's a play.
Okay, before we jump into Batman, we do still have some listener feedback to hit.
Got it.
Once I find it. This would be Monster Island Films. Also, of course, it's Nate. On our Thunderbirds Are Go episode. He says, apparently we mentioned something about the Mysterians. I don't remember. But he says that's Captain Scarlet and the Mysterians, which was a 1957 Toho film.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for commenting on that, Nate. I think there was a couple other things like way back in there, and I'm behind on those. I apologize. Yeah. I will continue keeping an eye on those. Any time y'all want to talk about it, y'all want to comment on our stuff and get it read, just wherever you find us, preferably on like Facebook or Podchaser, or go ahead and send us a note. We will read your listener feedback. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com or on Patreon. You can join that as a free member and get some free content. There's not much.
Oh, okay.
Or at the $1 or $5 level.
Right.
So, and we are talking about maybe doing some patron exclusive discussions on Discord. Maybe.
Possibly.
Keep an eye out for that.
Or just be like, hey, we're gonna be on Discord. Be like, hey,
we may do some hangouts. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe watch something anime-ish.
Yeah, maybe.
Anime-ish.
Either way.
Maybe monkeying around. Who knows?
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. 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 There is a song the good folks sing.
Song the good folks sing.
Batman the Animated Series, the episode is called Terror in the Sky.
Yes.
Originally aired November 12th, 1992. It is production episode 45, broadcast episode 37. It was directed by Boyd Kirkland and written by Steve Perry and Mark Saraceni. I'm probably mispronouncing that name. I am sorry, sir. In this episode, the beastly man-bat creature is once again haunting Gotham City. When Batman investigates, he discovers that Kirk's wife, Francine, was accidentally exposed to the serum by her father. Now Batman must find a way to safely bring down the woman bat before she can harm her husband or others. I like the other phrase I saw for this version of Man-Bat. She-Bat.
She-Bat, yeah.
That sounds better.
Yeah, She-Bat. Or, in quotations, Man-Bat.
Girl-Bat.
Girl-Bat. Lady-Bat.
If we're going off of it being a reversal of Bat-Fam names.
Okay, fair.
Girl-Bat instead of Batgirl.
Okay, fair.
Ain't more close to Batgirl showing up. So
yeah, that's true.
Guest casts for this episode include Pat Music, who played a flight attendant, and Peter Renaday, who played the second longshoreman. Everyone else had already been in the show before. Mostly in that first episode.
Gotcha.
Trivia for this one: Renee Auberjonois, who plays the older scientist. He later made a cameo as a doctor at Arkham Asylum in Batman Forever in 1995.
Oh, okay.
In bat form, Francine demonstrates several new attributes that indicate the increased potency of Dr. March's new serum, including echolocation and no memory of having been transformed. This episode is based on a short story from Detective Comics Volume 1, number 429, titled Man-Bat Over Vegas, by writer and artist Frank Robbins, and the last line is a direct reference to one of the last lines in the story. Now Francine's vampire nightmare is about over. Lastly, Francine runs away while Batman and Kirk argue over the reappearance of the Man-Bat. She appears to be distressed over it, when it turns out she's beginning to transform into the Man-Bat due to the frustrations. So, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I love this episode. I think it's one of the not earliest memories of Batman, but it was obviously the first episode with Man-Bat. This one it gives more. It has more of a lack of a word, not detour, but it deflects and makes you think something else when in reality it's this. But I really enjoy it because Batman, his first thought, it's Langstrom. Of course he has to be doing it. But then as the mystery unsolves,
it's not like he didn't just talk to Langstrom about a month ago.
Yeah, exactly.
When Catwoman got captured by
in Tiger.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the guy's name, but the Island of Dr. Moreau, but not.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, but this is a fantastic episode. It throws you for a loop, and it's like, okay, who really is the Man-Bat? Because you have we're first the Man-Bat is going after fruit, and it's like a bat would. Fruit bat. But and we're given this kind of we are thrust into Langstrom's home where he's sleeping, and then his wife's next to him, and
he apparently had a nightmare that was actually real.
That was actually real, and so we're made to believe we're given this. What's the word? What is the word? Come on, where they're pulling your direction to the direction, trying to give you. It's a word
you would ask.
Yes.
Subvert.
Yeah,
trying to subvert what you're expecting.
Yeah, you're subverting your expectation of the film because you think it's like Langstrom again, but it's not. It's Langstrom, but it's a different Langstrom. And I was like, when they do that reveal that it's not him, but it's his wife.
Yeah,
and the caveat that it's her own father who's trying to improve the serum, and he just lets it happen. He's not even fully aware that, oh my gosh, my wife is not my wife, my daughter is now been infected, and it's just like.
Artsy says the word we were trying to look for was misdirection.
Misdirect. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a misdirect. But it's so good. It is such a good episode. Because there again, you get to see, Batman the detective
Yeah.
He's always a detective in this one. You know, like not like in some other Batman films where he doesn't do a single thing at detecting. Not naming movies, but either or. As Drew sits there just pondering, it's like which
There could be so many.
There's so many of them. But
I'm just saying they sometimes forget he's the world's greatest detective.
They do. Detective. But I enjoyed the mess out of this episode, including the next episode. But this is a fantastic episode. Wonderful. I love the misdirect and we're going to just deflect you to thinking this, and until the Batman himself figures it out. You're following him. Yeah, and I love that kind of storytelling. Love it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. This is a brilliant episode.
I do like this episode also, and the fact that we did get back pretty much the entire cast of that first episode on Leather Wings. I thought it was done very well. I remember when we watched that episode that they gave a misdirection in that one too. They did. Because they made it look like it was going to be Rene Auberjonois' character who was doing all the Man-Bat stuff. Because he has that evil scientist look about him. And yeah, he had said some creepy things, which is also the reason Batman thought it was him. But it ended up being Langstrom. And so we get here, it's like, oh yeah, that guy who was pretty much a good guy in the first episode, he's the bad guy in this one, except he's not the Man-Bat. He just made a stupid mistake in thinking I can do better than my idiot son-in-law. Not that I think he was actually a son-in-law officially, but I can do better than him. And I actually dropped it on the ground because it's late and I'm tired. The beaker was slippery, and my daughter tried to help me clean up, and she cut herself, and a tiny bit of the serum got in her bloodstream, and now she's now the half human, half bat monster. And I like how they took a while to actually show that to you, except they give it away the first time they actually show this version of the Man-Bat in full, when they do the full reveal of the character. Because we didn't get to see that before, but the first time Man-Bat fights Batman in this, before we know who it is, you can tell that's not what Langstrom was wearing in the previous scene.
A certain character was wearing those certain pants.
A different character was wearing the red blouse and those pants. It's like, and they don't call attention to it. No. But I remember watching it and going, oh, no, wait, that wasn't him. Who was that? Oh, wait, is it the girl? That would also make sense. And of course, they revealed that's who it was later. But, this is done so well in subverting your already subverted expectations, which brings you back to non-subverted expectations. Anyway, it does such a... And this was a good callback to that previous episode. Yes. Of a character of a villain you don't even think of normally when you think of Batman, ironically. Because he's just not one of the more popular ones. So, you got anything else before we jump into the next episode?
No, I do not.
Almost Got Him. Originally came out November 10th, 1992. It was production episode number 46, broadcast episode 35, directed by Eric Radomski and written by Paul Dini. In this episode, on a criminal hideout in Gotham City, where crooks gather seeking protection from the police, Joker, Penguin, Two-Face, Killer Croc, and Poison Ivy want to determine which of them has come closer to eliminating the Batman. Each one of them tell the story about about the time when they were most certain about defeating their dread enemy, but none of them have gotten closer than the Joker, who not only managed to capture the Dark Knight and almost killed him, but he also has kidnapped Catwoman and is planning to eliminate her. All this happened while the crooks are unaware of the intruder among their ranks.
Who could he?
Trivia for this episode. Two-Face recounts how he tried to get rid of Batman using a giant penny. When Poison Ivy asks him what became of it, he replies, they actually let him keep it. The giant penny can be seen later in the series in the Batcave, along with other memorabilia. This is noticeable in other spin-off series as well, such as a certain Batman Beyond.
Yeah. I think even
and pretty
in,
much Justice League and every other show after this.
Oh yeah, there's even an episode where Tara McGinnis is asking Bruce. It's like, hey, what's with the penny? Long story. So apparently from that episode,
Yes.
it's like, well, was it? It was the Penguin who was trying to do it, right? Did they read it?
Two-Face.
Oh, Two-Face. Oh, that makes sense.
Flipping a coin.
Flipping a coin. That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, Harvey Dent / Two-Face uses the two motif throughout this episode, including every time his hand is seen, he has two deuces and two face cards, a pun on his name. He also has a 2x2 card in one shot. He applies half and half cream to his coffee. His story is second in the anthology.
Wow.
He wields two 22 caliber handguns at the end. And lastly, the Joker snubs Dent by saying he's seeing double and he will always come in second.
Oh my gosh.
This is based on a 4-part comic story that ran from September to December 1977 in Batman Volume 1, numbers 291 to 294, titled Where Were You on the Night Batman Was Killed? By writer David Vern Reed and artist John Calnan.
Oh, okay.
In each of the 4 issues, one villain, Catwoman, Riddler, Lex Luthor, and the Joker all recount their claims to have killed Batman.
Oh.
The outfit that Poison Ivy wears for her story would later be used as part of her new look for the revamped series, The New Batman Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Which we'll catch at the end of this season, because all of these are all technically considered Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah. Technically.
Paul Dini had originally written that instead of using exploding pumpkins, Poison Ivy instead set Christmas trees on fire in protest to them being chopped for the holidays. According to Dini on the commentary, broadcast standards and practices had him change it, and he opted instead for Halloween pumpkins. Producer Bruce Timm thought the pumpkin idea worked out much better.
Makes sense.
The Joker scorns Ivy's use of exploding pumpkins. Mark Hamill, who voices the Joker in Batman the Animated Series, would go on to voice the Hobgoblin in Spider-Man the Animated Series, whose specialty was exploding pumpkins.
Pumpkin bombs.
Although this is Poison Ivy's 3rd appearance in the series, this episode contains the first mention of her natural immunity to poisons and toxins. In later episodes and throughout the comics, this is a major character attribute. Two-Face's strategy, strapping down Batman to a giant coin and flipping the coin in the air, was taken from a 1947 story in World's Finest Comics number 30 by writer Bill Finger and artist Bob Kane.
There we go.
Where both Batman and Robin were tied to a giant penny that was catapulted onto spikes.
Oh.
However, they were able to create a negative magnetic field to repel the spikes and cause them to land heads up. And then snapped the ropes and defeating the story's antagonist, the Penny Plunderer.
The Penny Plunderer.
This was Golden Era Comics, folks.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Of course, there was a thief who just wanted to steal pennies. The most worthless coin. Well, in the U.S. Mint.
Well, true, but also back in the 30s, pennies were worth a lot more than they are now.
They were, yes, but at the same time, they were still the cheapest coin.
They were.
So, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Oh my gosh! All I gotta say be like, I hit him with a rock.
I love that line.
It was a big rock.
I love that. That's technically Batman saying that.
Yes,
even though it is voiced by the actual voice of the Killer Croc from that Killer Croc episode. I did double check all these to make sure there were no guest characters.
Yeah.
Because, that who hadn't already appeared, so.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's a great episode. Like all the flashbacks or the villains telling me like how they almost got Batman,
including Catwoman.
They're all scenes we haven't seen before. They're not just be like recycled animation. They're all,
which is usually what they do for anthology episodes.
Usually anthology episodes. This is all new animation. Like this stories we've never heard before within the Batman mythos of the animated series. We haven't heard these yet, and it's really fun. The only one we don't see is Croc.
It's because Croc wasn't there.
Croc wasn't there. It was Batman himself making stories up.
And I loved the look that when they reveal it and the light goes in and out and it goes from Killer Croc's face to the Bat Cowl to the Killer Croc's face to the Bat Cowl.
Yeah,
I don't think that's actually how light works, but sure.
No,
this is cool to watch anyway.
Oh yeah, the reveal of like who Croc really is. And it's just more like very subtle. It's more like he starts talking and then he turns into the Batman. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a good turn. Like a good flip of the coin. It's like, oh, be like, I'm really not Croc. I'm not that dumb. Come on, people. Like, do you think for 3 seconds I'm not going to be on this? And the creme de la creme of this entire episode be like, besides Batman trying to find Catwoman, which is always hilarious, always great. But the one was like, it's like the villains think they got him cornered. It's like, oh, it's 6-1. It's like 5-1. It's like, think again. And all these cops are there. It's like, oh.
Which here's my thing on that, because this is a slight little. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's only revealed that it's that it's actually cops and not just people Batman's hired.
Yeah.
When you see Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock.
Yeah.
Bullock agreed to help Batman in this episode. That's talk about odd.
How?
Because Bullock hates Batman.
Batman hates the Bat. Of course.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But overall, these 2 episodes are fantastic. I love these episodes.
Yeah, these are good. This is a good episode, and both of these episodes have been very good. But this was one I'd been looking forward to watching because, first off, I hit him with a rock.
It was a very big rock.
It was a big rock. It's like, because you don't know that that's not Killer Croc.
No, of course.
You're just looking at, oh, this is obviously a big dumb character. That's funny. Oh, wait a minute.
It's not.
And you do. I love how Poison. I don't remember if it was Poison Ivy or it was Poison Ivy asks Two-Face. That's when Poison Ivy asks Two-Face, "What did they do with the penny?" It's like, it was a big rock.
Because Croc Batman's trying to make his story bigger. It's like, I hit him with a rock. It was a big rock. And everyone's like, really? You hit him with a rock?
I don't know, it was just so good. And even Harley Quinn at the end has a great. I love how Batman takes her because she does what I call the I still think of it as the Green Goblin problem, because I keep thinking back to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies where he says, here's the problem with being the good guy, Spider-Man. Every once in a while you come across someone with a sadistic choice. You can either save the girl or save the kids. But you can't do both. Now choose, hero.
Yes.
In this time, it's, you can either catch me or you can save Catwoman. It's your choice. And she turns it on, runs off, and Batman catches Harley, says, "You're really gonna let your girlfriend get turned into cat food?" Says, "No." Flips the main power switch right next to her. And shuts the power off to the whole plant. I'm like, oh, that is hilarious. Why does nobody else do this? This was great. This is a great subversion of...
Very good subversion
of this classic superhero trap. You can save the woman you love, or you can be the hero. Which is it gonna be?
Both.
I'm Batman. I get to do both. There's a third option, and that's be Batman.
Or the scene
Batman always wins.
Batman always wins. The vast majority of the time he wins. The scene that got me wasn't really got me. Like, I love the dynamic between, because they do bring up the history between Two-Face and Poison Ivy.
Yes.
Which I was like, oh, how you doing, Harv? It's like, yeah, be like, yeah, I want to shoot you or strangle you.
And she says, "We used to date." They go, "Oh yeah,
that makes sense. That makes sense."
And like, yeah, they did in Poison Ivy's debut episode.
True. Yeah, because I can't remember the exact line. It's like Harvey's like, it's like either be like
half of me wants to strangle you. What's the other half want to do? Shoot you in the face. Something to that effect.
Yeah, be like, I want to shoot you. It's like, oh crap. Be like, yeah, this was definitely a very loveless,
so good
episode. So good episode.
The villains get to be good villains. But I will tell you something. We're about halfway through season 2, I think, on this.
Yeah.
Do you realize we have not had a good Penguin episode yet?
No, we
Even
haven't.
though he's been in the show, 3 times?
At least.
Come on. When's a good Penguin episode coming? I know there's a good one, because I remember him from this, besides just looking like Danny DeVito with weird flipper hands that are so disgusting in this.
Yes.
But
So fun fact about that whole Penguin's design in this movie.
It's based off Batman Returns.
It's based off it. The only problem was, so they were in the middle of shooting Batman Returns, and so Bruce Timm and someone else were
they got to go on set.
They got to go on set, but they were only allowed to see Danny DeVito from afar. They weren't able to see it up front, up close. So this was literally, Bruce Timm just sketching away at what he thinks the character looks like, and that's what we got.
I just have this thought. Bruce Timm sketches Danny DeVito from afar, but it's a very rough sketch. So he gets home and he's going to refine the sketch, and he turns on Taxi. Because Danny DeVito had a very starring role on Taxi and drew all the rest of the details from there, and that's why he looks almost human in our version instead of the goofiness that is Batman Returns.
Yeah, agreed.
Penguin. But either way, you got anything else to add before we cut out of here?
No, it's
I just realized we did not even talk about what we're watching next week for the actual film of it. We are going back to treasure hunting.
Yes. In space.
We are watching next week Treasure Planet. Disney's Treasure Planet. From the Dark Ages of Disney.
The early 2000s.
Yeah, the second Dark Ages.
Yeah.
And then Batman-wise, we are looking at Birds of a Feather and What is Reality.
There's the Penguin episode.
And another good Riddler episode.
Another Riddler episode, yes.
So, join us next week for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes. You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or X at @cast_cell. Follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, The Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On, and remember, that's Cell with a single L.
I just realized there's a bit of trivia I forgot about this movie.
Oh, what's that?
This was the first movie where John Wayne started calling people Pilgrim.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, it was this one.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just more like, okay, this is what John Wayne says all the time.
No,
Hey,
this was the first one.
Oh, okay, that makes
So
sense.
there's your bonus trivia, because I can't think of another outro.
Bye, Pilgrim.